Hey, I'm Emile Joubert, PR Executive for Amorim Cork, South Africa, and we're at Amorim's offices in Stellenbosch. Right next to me I have Joaquim, Managing Director of Amorim SA, Portuguese company. Just tell us about the roots of the company and your involvement in South Africa.
Yes, well, Amorim has a history of 140 years. It all started close to the Port Cellars 140 years ago. And from a small operation producing corks, today is the largest cork producer in the world. South African operation has been here for 30 years. Actually, it was the first company that Amorim owned 100% outside borders. So
that's why we're drinking MCC today.
Exactly, to celebrate the 30 years.
And let's get something straight, we do not have cork trees in South Africa.
Yes, you do. Actually, I read a bit about it. And it was fashionable in the 1800s for South Africans to collect exotic trees. So you'll find a lot of cork trees in South Africa.
But your corks you produce here do not come from South African trees?
No, because you need the right soils, you need the right amount of rain for the cork to retain its best properties. So Mediterranean area, namely Portugal, Spain, have the best forests for production of wine corks.
I think what's interesting about the cork trees is that they're part of a wilderness ecosystem and sustainable, and they not only sustain the economies of the area, but they sustain a large amount of the fauna and flora and the turtle ecosystem of southern Europe. And that's why demand for cork seems to be growing. But Joaquim, I think let's just talk about what happens when the cork bark comes to South Africa.
Okay, well, we don't get cork bark in South Africa. What we get is the final product of the cork bark. As you can see, this is the bark, and we punch corks from the bark. So we get corks already standard, and it's interesting that, you know, there's been this myth that France gets the best corks, which is not the case. Amorim produces to a central warehouse, and the same corks that goes for Petrus can come, for example, for the Gem or Kenalskloof. It's exactly from the same production.
I think the perception of cork these days depends a lot on perceived value. And I've been speaking to a lot of retailers, restaurateurs, and I've done market research as well. And it definitely seems to be a case that cork is seen as adding value to the wine in the bottle. Do you have an idea as to how many corks you put out to the South African industry each year?
Well, obviously there's a few millions. I can tell you that when we celebrated 25 years in South Africa, we made calculations and it was already above 1 billion corks during that.
Do you think that the fact that cork is such a sustainable product and environmentally friendly product has led to an increased uptake in cork?
Absolutely. I think public wants to know more about how we engage in the sustainability measures. We all know, and I take it for example back to Cork. Cork forest, if you look into the cork forest, it stays in the Mediterranean, which is basically the last border between Sahara Desert and Western Europe. It plays a role in avoiding desertification because cork is sustainable, it retains water to the soil, it doesn't need fertilizers, doesn't need irrigation, it's self-sustainable.
What I find interesting is there's like a common thread in the wine, in the product of wine. You have the vine, then you have the barrel, which is also wood, and then you have the cork oak. So it's the third part of the whole process. So we're all brothers in nature.
Exactly, and I mean it's a tradition for more than 350 years.